Welcome to Wide AF. You're listening to your hosts, Steph and Brandon. Today we're going to do a deep dive into the Health Star rating, which is, you might have seen those icons on the foods, those little logos. It's designed by the Australian government. It is a rating scale from 0.5 to 5, and it's just designed to make people's lives a little bit easier when choosing foods.
Yeah, so like the idea behind the 5-star health rating is to make, like you said, things a little bit easier. Because food labels and nutrition labels typically are really difficult to understand. So if you don't know what calories or kilojoules means and the differences between them, or if you don't understand protein, carbs, different types of fat, different types of sugars, or ingredients even, you don't want to read the whole list, it can be very confusing for people, especially they're finding in lower socioeconomic areas, or maybe people who just don't have a very high sort of understanding or knowledge about nutrition. It can be really difficult to choose healthy foods. So they wanted to design this Health Star rating. I think it was 2014 they brought it in.
Correct.
There you go. Did some research before this podcast. We didn't just wing it. So yeah, 2014 they brought it in with the idea of making things a little bit easier so that you can make an easier food choice. You can make a healthier food choice more easily, and specifically for packaged foods. So obviously you're not going to find a 5-star food rating on vegetables and fruits because they're not packaged, they're fresh. So you'll see it on all the ones in the aisles that have packet.
Well, the main thing,
most of them.
as you said, then you're not going to find them on foods where people already know that they're healthy, and you know that you're going to be not at risk from eating those foods as such. So the main ways that the rating is done, and so what the algorithm chooses for that rating is sodium, so high levels of sodium, which we want to try and avoid, high levels of saturated fat, and high energy or high kilojoules or high calorie foods. And they're the kind of three main things that it looks for.
Yeah, and so the idea is that if you're choosing these foods are going to be healthy for you because they're lower in calories, lower in fat, lower in sugar, lower in sodium, which all sounds great in theory.
But is that the case?
Well, we've got a few examples that we're going to talk about that you would think that would be healthier, but really it's not that much of a difference, and it shouldn't really make much of a difference. So we've got a couple examples that maybe would confuse people. Even you might have seen like some cereals that you would think that aren't very healthy and have lots of sugar, and they have a 5-star health rating or a 4-star health rating. And you probably think to yourself, what, that's not a healthy food. Why does it have a health star rating on it? It's actually optional for companies to put the rating, the 5-star rating, on their foods. And so something that they're finding is that typically companies will put the 5-star rating or the higher star rating, so 4 or 5 stars, only on products that they have that they know are higher stars or know that will market better because they seem healthier. I've got little quotation marks there if you're listening. So if the same company has a food that might only have a 1-star, they might not put that star rating on that food. They'll only put it on the foods that they know look healthier to people, so then they can sell more of it.
And we saw that to be the case when we had what was that other one? It was the Heart Foundation rating, and how that people could buy and apply for it and then get it applied to their food, which I think this is definitely a lot better way of doing it, a lot more standardized way. But of course, there are some loopholes, things like that. But overall, if you don't listen any further, the Health Star rating is good.
It's a good option.
It
If
is
you're not sure,
like
you don't want to read the label, then by all means choose a food that's higher in stars.
Exactly.
Yep. So
We'll start with the examples because I think that'll be fun.
Some examples. These are fun.
Let's have a look at those, and then we can go into other stuff later.
Okay. So I have two main examples. I've got an example of yogurt, and then I've got an example of corn chips. Okay. So I've got two yogurts to compare here. So, and I'm not demonizing yogurt, I'm not demonizing chips, and I'm not demonizing these brands either, by the way, just in case you're all wondering.
Examples.
They're just really good examples. So the first example here I have of it's a 5-star health rating food is the Yoplait Formé Zero French Vanilla Yogurt. Sorry if that didn't sound very good.
Sounds funny.
Formé for me.
I don't know.
Well, it's spelled Forme, Formé. It sounds fancy. There's no little apostrophe above the E, so Formé. Yoplait Formé. Anyway, so this yogurt tub, it has a 5-star health rating. And then, so it's obviously really low in fat. It's got
That's the highest rating you can get, 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, exactly. 5 out of 5. Obviously, Brandon, come on. So the energy levels are really low. So it's only 166 kilojoules, which is really low, which is basically like 70 calories if you're thinking calories compared to kilojoules.
We're talking per 100.
Yep, per 100 grams, sorry. And then the protein levels, 4.2 grams. Fat, there's only 0.1 grams of fat in that yogurt per 100 grams. Carbs are really low as well, 4.7 grams of carbs, and sugars are pretty low, 4.2 grams. Well, that includes it in the carb anyway. Sodium is also 53 milligrams. So overall, it is a pretty good option because it's 5 stars and it's low in all of those numbers.
But something that we thought was probably healthier or on par or something that was really good, which is what we searched up first, was Greek yogurt. And Greek yogurt obviously has less ingredients, and Steph will go into that now.
So the one I've got here is the Woolworths natural Greek style yogurt. And it actually has a 3-star health rating. So this is a lower star rating than the Yoplait Formé, which is, it's 3 stars, this one.
Yeah,
It's
but 2 stars less.
Yeah. And so the difference obviously is in the nutrition information. So the energy per 100 grams for this one, the Greek style, is 454 kilojoules, which is about 100 calories. Protein is higher on this one, 6 grams of protein, which I think it's something important to look at. Fat is a little bit higher at 7.3 grams, so definitely higher in the fat. And there is definitely more saturated fat in the Greek yogurt as well. Carbohydrates is 4.8 grams. So this one is actually lower in carbohydrates. Oh, it's about the same actually, very similar. And then sodium is a little bit higher in the Greek style yogurt, 67 milligrams. But the interesting thing is
This is all marginal.
It's so marginal. It's so marginal. We're talking about 30 calories difference between these two yogurts. But then if you look at the ingredient list, so the Greek style yogurt, there's literally 3 ingredients. There's pasteurized milk and cream, dried skim milk, and then lactic starter cultures, which is like the good bacteria in the yogurt. So that's 3 things, right? Sounds very natural, very good for you, right? If you want to talk about ingredients. Then you look at the Yoplait for me, and it's got like about 10 ingredients on here. It's got milk solids, water, polydextrose, thickeners. It's got gelatin, natural flavors, sweeteners, acidity regulators, yogurt cultures, and skim milk. So there's a lot more things added. And there's also the brackets too, with lots of things in the brackets. So I've just given you a shortened list version. So like if you, I don't know, like it comes across like the Yoplait for me is healthier. But to me, I would think that maybe the Greek-style natural yogurt is healthier because there's less additives and there's less things shoved in it. And the difference is so marginal that for the average person, it's probably not going to matter.
So we can see how that's a perfect example of how it's not working. And I'd say it's not working there. How that's not really a fair way of rating the foods or weighting the foods. That's a perfect example of how the health star rating is not working. Another example was the Wonder White Bread that I had. I had it as, it was 4.5 stars and the Helga's one was 4. But it was...
The Helga's one was the wholemeal one.
Yeah.
You had white bread versus wholemeal bread, and the white bread had more stars than the wholemeal bread.
It did by half. Next, so you can see it's there's some stuff that's not adding up. We'll do one more example. Steph's got some chips, so she'll go through. Well, she doesn't have chips on her now, but there's example of some health foods chips. So a really funny thing is the emergence of all the health foods and how that's becoming really popular. There's now a whole aisle just for that. So there's the healthy chips versus the
regular chips.
So if you feel like a healthy crunch flavor.
So these are both Woolworths brands ones. Also, I found it easier to find the health stars on the Woolworths brand foods, whereas some of the other like bigger name foods, they didn't have the health stars on them, unless obviously it comes across healthier. But all the Woolworths foods pretty much had the health stars on them. So just interesting little fact there. Not sure why that is. So with the chips here, I have the Macro Certified Organic Corn Chips Natural. And so you would find these in the health food aisle. It says it's a healthier alternative, and it's apparently got 80% less fat than your other chips, and it's also got less salt than your average corn chips, about 50% less salt than your average corn chips. These corn chips only have 3 ingredients, which is just corn, sunflower oil, and salt. And the health star rating is 3.5 on these organic corn chips. Then I'm comparing them to the Woolworths Chips Crinkle Cut Original, 175.
Who eats Woolworths chips?
Well, I would because it's cheaper. So, but I like to go for
never
the
mind.
bargains.
Continue.
So I'm comparing it to the Woolworths Crinkle Cut Original chips. Okay, so these ones again only 3 ingredients: potatoes, palm oil, and salt. But these ones have a 1 on the health star rating. So your healthier chips are 3.5, and then your regular chips are 1. So if you're looking at the calories, The unhealthy Woolworths crinkle cut chips, they are per 100 grams, 2,150 kilojoules, whereas the other ones are 2,160 kilojoules. So the healthier version has only 10 kilojoules more in them, which is like nothing. They're pretty much the same calories, chip for chip. But then the difference is the fat and the salt, like they said in their marketing. So the regular chips have about 637 milligrams of sodium, and then the organic healthy ones, they have 195 milligrams of sodium, which is pretty significant, I think. And then same with the fat as well, the saturated fat. The non-healthy ones have total fat is 32.5 grams, but then saturated is 15 grams, right? But then you compare it to the healthy version and there's only 2.2 grams of saturated fat. So it's a very big difference. I think it's quite significant, but then the calories are the same overall. So I don't know, would you be satisfied by choosing the healthy chips? Would you feel like that's enough for you? That's maybe a question you'd have to think about.
Exactly. And you can see how it's the power of the rating, how influential it can be on someone's choice. And we looked at a few things before, and there was an article by the Obesity Evidence Hub, which was saying how that people had chosen things based purely on, in the last few months, had they noticed the rating? Yes, they had noticed the rating, and they had chosen products that they would not normally choose based purely on the rating, realizing or recognizing that might be a quick way just to purchase products and go by that, rather than sitting in the aisle comparing things and maybe being confused as which one is the healthier option, and just going based on the rating. And that's just 2 examples or 3 examples where it doesn't work, but I'd say there's a lot of examples where it does work, and there are some really good ways that the health star rating is going to channel people into making the right choice. How big that makes over a period of a week, if you're going to have 3 packets of the healthy chips as a snack versus 3 packets of the other chips, that's still pretty crazy amount of chip consumptions each day. Like you know what I mean? So there's a time and a place for the health star rating, and obviously that's, the portions and serving size is once again more important than the very small amount that the health star rating and calories and salt that makes up, because ultimately the serving size is going to be the biggest player in all this, regardless what food you're eating.
I think the best application of the health star rating is that if you're going to choose packaged foods such as chips or sauces or things like that, then choosing the packaged foods, if you're already going to choose them with a higher health star rating, is going to be beneficial. However, if you're choosing that food only because it has a health star rating, when you wouldn't have otherwise chosen it, so say for example, you're only choosing chips because, it has a 3.5 star health star rating on it, it must be healthy for me, therefore I can eat it on my diet. That's not a very good justification for choosing to eat those chips because it has the rating on it. However, if you were going to eat it anyway, that's a little bit different, because you are making minute changes which are going to be beneficial in your health overall long term, especially if you're having a packet of chips every week or it's something that's regular in your life and you don't want to cut it out completely, then it is an option to choose something that's better. But for just your regular person that if you're not going to eat chips, then you don't need to go out of your way to buy chips with a health star rating on them, because you're actually adding something that didn't need to be added, if that makes sense.
Exactly. The other thing that it can be a little bit confusing is with the health star rating, it's based on the contents of the food that's inside that package, which I know might seem silly, but the example that they gave was Milo, and how Milo has a slightly higher star rating, but if you were to add, say, chocolate milk, or you were to add maybe full cream milk or something like that, that would definitely change the composition of that item. It's no longer you're just eating Milo out of the tub.
Yeah, the rating is only on the product that is in the package.
Which might sound silly, but there is that as well. Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting and obviously really good for the health star rating is we know that it's a very powerful tool for companies to use as marketing and to market their products. So if a company was to bring out a new line of products that was slightly healthier or had a 5-star rating or a 4-star rating, because we know it's not hard to get a high rating anymore or at all, and you were to emerge into the market as a new item and you had dominance in that area because yours was healthier, that's good for everyone and everyone benefits, because it creates competition amongst all those other items, and it forces food manufacturers to change the way that they produce or formulate their foods to have less salt, less fat, less added sugars, less preservatives and whatnot, because those things are going to be weighted into the algorithm. And of course, as this is just the beginning, it's only been introduced in 2014. So imagine in another 10 years, provided the outcome is actually to improve everyone's health, it's only going to improve. So the way that this scale is being done is it's only going to improve the choices for you, and it's only going to make your life easier, provided that it's done exactly like that, and it's everything is as it seems, which it appears that way.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you can avoid packaged foods, then that's going to be better for you. So if you have less processed and packaged foods, then you're making a healthier choice as it is. But if you can't avoid it, if you have to for convenience or time or money or for whatever reason, or you don't have access to, say, fresh fruit and vegetables, if you have to have packaged and processed foods, then yes, by all means, use that health star rating to help you. But of course, if you've listened to some of our previous episodes where we've spoken about how to eat a healthy diet, it's to try and reduce the packaged and processed foods if you can or where you can. So, it's a pretty tricky debate, really.
It's a slippery slope.
It's an interesting thing.
But the person that always is going to benefit from this is us. You guys going to benefit from it because it's designed, it's going to create competition within other producers, and because of the health star rating, because people want to choose things that are more health conscious and be more savvy with those kind of things and be a little bit more informed about nutrition, it's only going to serve you better, because it's just going to put the manufacturers in a position where they have to keep producing foods or come up with creative ways on how they can improve their formulas and improve their foods. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
in that sense.
Well, because I think of the yogurt example we gave at the start, how many preservatives and additives they had to put in that to make that healthier. But I don't know if that's actually healthier because of things they had to add and take out to make it.
That's an example where it doesn't work, but an example, as in that's an example where it's definitely broken. But an example where it might, and that's obviously the algorithm, and that would have to need to be improved, and that would have to be highlighted, and that would need to be addressed. But something that where it could work was, for example, if you walked into an aisle and all the biscuits were 0.5 stars, and then suddenly there was another biscuit which had a slightly different composition than the others, and that was a 4-star. Well, then that's going to might change the way that the others are composed if they're all half stars.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And no one starts. I can't see, but although saying that, I can't see people not buying the Tim Tams because they're half a star. People buy Tim Tams because they taste good, not because of how they're weighted on.
Or if they're on special.
Exactly. So you can see how, once again, there's many, many reasons why you might choose a particular food, not just based on the star rating. So we can see that, just from Steph and I, how we both view these topics. We're interested to know, what do you guys think? Do you guys even use the health star rating? Do you even choose things based on that? Do you even
know that it was on the packet?
Do you even are you someone who reads the back of the packaging religiously and compares, and you think you're a bit of a nutritionist yourself when you go to the supermarket and you're like, oh, I chose this one because it's a little bit better, or do you even notice those things throughout the week? So, or when you do your weekly shopping?
I'm curious, Brandon, why would you choose a packaged food? I'm just out of your own. If you're choosing a packaged food, do you read the label? Do you
I'd say the packaged food that I would have, or the only one that I really have, would be when we go away, we had muesli bars.
Yeah, true.
So I think, but even then, the Carmen's is so good at marketing their stuff as protein muesli bars. They taste so good as well, but they're just nuts anyway, nuts and honey. So it's not as if we're having the muesli bars are just paste and honey and the very, very small amount of nuts, and there's only the nuts are sprinkled on them, and it's all just really ultra processed stuff. We don't really have that much processed stuff anyway. It's more, I wouldn't even use it for the yogurt, because I would have the natural Greek yogurt anyway if I was to have yogurt.
I chose the yogurt. I always choose the yogurt that I like the taste of, and that's cheap or on special. I don't really read the label. I think I used to read the labels a lot more than I do now. But again, I don't really choose foods that are packaged that frequently.
We know that the biggest impact on your food is going to be your serving size. And we said that at the beginning, and we'll say that again. You'd be surprised the variety that you can have in your diet and the results that you can be achieved, whilst consuming all kinds of foods as well. So it's definitely an interesting topic. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode.
If you didn't know, we're now going fortnightly with our podcast episodes. So you can expect to hear the episode or a new episode every 2 weeks instead of every week. We figure we've got a pretty good base now, so you guys can just listen back through old episodes if you want. They're pretty good.
Or if you missed an episode as well.
Yeah, exactly, because I'm sure there are episodes you missed, during holidays or whatever. So, if you're liking it, make sure you give us a review, share our podcast on your Instagram stories or on your Facebook, wherever you would like to share it. We'd really appreciate it. So,
yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in a fortnight. If you have any questions for Steph and I, please let us know, and we'll do our best to get back to you.
Bye.